40,000 years ago, something changed in the bones of human feet. Not all at once, not in one place, but the change shows up in the fossil record like a signature. Smaller toes, thinner bones, a different kind of stress pattern on the joints. Something had come between human feet and the ground. What if the most ordinary object in your closet right now quietly rewired your skeleton? For almost the entire history of our species, humans walked barefoot. 200,000 years of bare feet on rock, sand, ice, and thorn. Then, in a narrow window of time, that stopped. Anthropologist Erik Trinka spent years studying ancient foot bones from sites across Europe and Asia. He noticed something strange happening to the smaller toes, the ones that do the real gripping work when a foot is bare. In populations dated to around 40,000 years ago, those toe bones got noticeably weaker, thinner, less robust. Why would toes get weaker right as humans were spreading into colder, harsher environments? The answer isn't that humans got weaker. It's that something started doing the gripping for them. Shoes.
Not shoes like we know now. Something far more primitive. Wrapped hide. Bound fiber, a flat piece of leather lashed around the foot with sinew. But it was enough to take the load off the smaller toes, enough to change how the entire foot interacted with the earth. Think about what a bare foot actually does. Every step, the toes curl slightly, gripping uneven ground for balance. The muscles fire constantly, adjusting in real time to rock, root, and slope. A wrapped foot doesn't need to do that anymore. So the body, efficient as it always is, stopped investing energy in toe strength it no longer needed. This is evolution responding not to a new predator or a new food source, but to a single invented object. That's the part that should stop you. Humans didn't evolve shoes. Humans invented shoes. And then evolution responded to the invention. Picture a group of early modern humans somewhere in Ice Age Eurasia. The ground is frozen for months at a time. Frostbite isn't a discomfort. It's a death sentence for anyone who can't keep moving to find food. A foot that loses toes to frostbite is a foot that can't hunt, can't gather, can't keep pace with a moving group. So someone, somewhere, wraps their foot in hide.
We will never know that person's name. There's no monument to them. But that decision may be one of the most consequential in the story of human survival. Because once feet were protected, humans could go further, colder places, higher altitudes, terrain that would shred a bare sole in minutes. The shoe didn't just protect the foot, it expanded the map of where a human being could survive. Is it possible that something as simple as wrapped hide helped humans outcompete other hominin species entirely? Neanderthals lived in many of the same cold environments. Their foot bones don't show the same pattern of toe reduction, at least not as early or as consistently. Some researchers think this might mean Neanderthals weren't using footwear the same way, if at all. If true, that's a staggering thought. A piece of wrapped hide may have given one species of human an edge over another. Not a better brain, not a sharper spear, a better shoe. Let's slow down and look at what the human foot actually is, because it's stranger than most people realize. 26 bones, 33 joints, over 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments, all packed into a structure smaller than a dinner plate. It's an engineering marvel built over millions of years to do one specific job: keep an upright, two-legged animal balanced and moving across unpredictable ground. Every part of it, the arch, the heel strike, the toe spring, evolved under one constant condition: direct contact with the earth.
So what happens when, for the first time in human history, that contact is interrupted? The earliest direct evidence of organized footwear doesn't come from shoes themselves. Leather and hide rarely survive tens of thousands of years. It comes from the bones, from subtle shifts in toe robustness that researchers can measure and date. Later, around 15,000 years ago, the evidence becomes harder to argue with. Cave paintings in places like Spain begin showing figures with what appeared to be foot coverings. By around 10,000 years ago, actual sandals start showing up in the archaeological record, woven from plant fiber, preserved in dry caves in places like Oregon and the Middle East. The Erini 1 shoe, discovered in a cave in Armenia, is over 5,000 years old. A single piece of cowhide, lace, encased and shaped to a human foot, stuffed with grass for insulation. It still has the shape of a left foot. Whoever wore it has been dead for thousands of years. The shoe outlived them. There's something quietly unsettling about that. An object built to protect a body now exists long after the body is gone. Once footwear became widespread, the changes didn't stop at the toes. Modern researchers have compared the feet of habitually barefoot populations to populations who grew up in cushioned shoes. The differences are significant. Arch shape, foot width, the strength of the muscles that stabilize the ankle.
A 2017 study led by biomechanist Daniel Lieberman found that people who grew up barefoot or in minimal footwear tend to have stronger, more functional foot muscles than people who grew up in conventional cushioned shoes. In other words, the modern sneaker may be doing to your feet what that first hide wrap did to ancient toes, just more dramatically. Could the shoes in your closet right now be quietly reshaping your skeleton, the same way ancient sandals reshaped the feet of people 40,000 years ago? It's not just bone density, it's balance. It's the strength of the muscles in your arch. It's even how your brain processes signals about where your foot is in space. A heavily cushioned shoe interrupts a feedback loop that took millions of years to develop. The nerves in the sole of your foot are some of the most densely packed sensory receptors in your entire body. Every time you put a thick sole between your skin and the ground, you're muting a signal your nervous system evolved specifically to receive. This isn't an argument that shoes are bad. Shoes protected human feet from frostbite, infection, and injury for tens of thousands of years. They likely helped our ancestors survive ice ages that would have crippled a barefoot population.
But every adaptation has a cost. The same invention that let humans walk into colder, harsher, more dangerous terrain also began quietly retraining the very feet that wore it. Think about how strange the timeline actually is. For 200,000 years, the human foot was shaped entirely by direct contact with the earth. For the last 40,000, a thin layer of material has stood between us and the ground, and our bones have been rewriting themselves in response the entire time. That's not even 2% of human history, and it was enough to physically alter the skeleton. What else have we invented without realizing it was quietly reshaping us from the inside? Look down at your own feet right now. Most of you are wearing something: a sneaker, a sandal, a sock pressed against a hardwood floor. That object isn't neutral. It's not a passive accessory. It's a tool with a fossil record, an evolutionary footprint stretching back to some unnamed person on an ice age plain who decided the cold ground didn't get to win. You didn't invent the shoe, but you inherited the body it built.